Now, in the last lecture, we had taken a look at the GL equation, and from the GL equation 2, we had actually derived a relation between currents and fluxes which are associated with any superconductor. And that relation is this. Okay, where J is of course the supercurrents which are flowing inside the superconductor. Psi square is the square of the order parameter, the superconducting order parameter, which is integrated over some curve C inside the superconductor, and dl is the length element in the superconductor. In that curve C, length element in that curve over which you are doing this integration. Phi is the magnetic flux associated with the superconductor, associated with that region around which you are taking that curve. If there is any magnetic flux, then that flux associated with that region C is phi, and that has to be is bounded by, or this entire thing is bounded by n times phi naught, where phi naught is the magnetic flux quantum. So whatever is the sum total of this has to be in such a way that it is equal to n times phi naught, where phi naught is the magnetic flux quantum. This is of course 2.07 into 10 raised to the power of minus 7 Gauss centimeter square. Okay, so this is the magnetic value of the magnetic flux quantum. You can also convert into Tesla meter square and other forms, and n is an integer, 1 2 3 4 and so on. So now let us look at some applications of this, and the first most valid application that you can do is that suppose you take a cylinder. So let me draw it. That suppose you take a cylinder which has, say, whatever I am drawing in green is a solid copper region. It is non-superconducting. This is solid, and around it, okay, so this is non-superconducting, okay, and around it I am going to put a film of a superconducting material. So I am going to deposit a film of superconducting material around this superconductor. Okay, I am going to coat it completely with a superconducting film. So you have a superconducting core, and inside which you have a normal region. So this is a normal region say of made of copper, and this is a superconducting sheath. Okay, now if I look at the top view, if I look from top view, which is I look from the top, then what I will see is that there is a core which is of copper, and it is surrounded by a superconducting sheath. Okay, now if I apply a magnetic field to this, if I immerse it in a magnetic field, if I apply a magnetic field to this structure, then of course the magnetic field around this will avoid the superconducting regions. But what about the magnetic field which encounters in this normal regions? In this normal region, the magnetic field will pass through regions. Okay, so through these normal regions the magnetic field will pass through. Okay, so in these regions the magnetic field will pass through. Wherever it encounters the superconducting regions, it will actually, but inside these it will actually pass through the normal region. Okay, so there will be magnetic flux which will be present inside the core. Okay, and what will happen on the surface? So if I make this into, if I actually zoom into it, sorry, so there will be magnetic flux which is present. So magnetic non-zero B inside the copper region, and what will be present in the superconducting region? In this region, of course, B is equal to 0, but how will the B become equal to 0 in the superconducting region? It is by the presence of shielding currents. So shielding currents in this region will circulate in such a way, you will have shielding currents which are circulating in this region. Let me draw it in black. There will be shielding currents which will circulate I'm sorry, it should be in, if the magnetic field is pointing out, suppose the magnetic field is pointing out of the plane of this, then the current should be such that it will shield out. So this black region is the currents which are circulating in the superconducting region. Okay, and these currents will extend up to a distance in the superconductor up to lambda. Okay, the currents will circulate in this superconductor up to a distance lambda. So basically what you will have will be that you will have this region which will have magnetic field inside it. So you will have magnetic field which is present inside it. Around it you will have shielding supercurrents which will flow up to a distance. These shielding supercurrents will flow up to a distance lambda. So these are the currents which are flowing. I am just exaggerating it. This thickness is of the order of lambda GL. So the shielding currents will flow up to lambda GL around this region, and then this is of course your superconductor. So all this is superconducting. This is the superconductor. The green region is actually the normal core. The green region is the normal core which is present. Okay, the superconducting region, and around it you have up to a distance lambda. Okay, up to a distance lambda you have the shielding currents which are flowing. They get weaker as you move out. Okay, these currents are getting weaker as you move out. Okay, and they are, that is why I am drawing them as just dots as you go towards the periphery until they disappear completely. Okay, so within a distance of lambda, within this distance of lambda, within a distance of lambda from the surface of this normal region into the superconducting region, the shielding currents will circulate so that they completely cancel out the magnetic field or decay the magnetic field in the superconducting region, and magnetic field will be present only inside this region. Now let us take a contour in this. Let us take a contour in this. So let's draw a contour in this. Okay, this is your curve C. Whatever I have drawn in yellow is your curve C. Okay, so now if I go across this contour, it encloses the magnetic flux. Okay, the curve C, the contour C the contour C, which is in yellow, encloses the magnetic flux region, but how much is J bar dot dl bar around the curve C? This is 0, because at the contour site, you have no currents. There is no currents at the contour site. At this site C, you have absolutely no currents. The currents are present up to lambda, from the surface of the copper, and as you go deeper into the superconducting side, there is no supercurrents which are present there. Okay, so therefore, if I look at the above equation, the first term in this above equation, namely this term integral j bar dot dl bar will have no contribution, because over this yellow region there is no currents which are flowing. The j will be 0 at every point of the dl element. The j is 0, so this term will be 0, and therefore the magnetic flux which is enclosed by C is the magnetic flux which is enclosed by this contour C, which is present inside this copper region, is just n times phi naught. The magnetic flux is just n times phi naught. So if you have a normal region inside a superconducting region, inside a superconducting region, then the magnetic flux enclosed in the normal region is n times the magnetic flux quantum. Okay, and this is something that you have seen before, and let me remind you that there was this experiment done to prove the flux quantization, that there is flux quantization. A cylinder was taken. You have a copper cylinder which was surrounded by tin. This is the top view, what we are showing here. So you had, just like as I have drawn, you have a copper cylinder which is non-superconducting, surrounded by tin which has a superconducting transition of 4K, and the magnetic flux which is going to be enclosed within this is going to be the magnetic flux which is enclosed within the copper cylinder. If you apply a magnetic field to this structure, to this cylinder, then the magnetic flux which is going to be present in this region, the magnetic flux phi which is going to be present inside the copper region, will be nothing else but phi naught, as we have proved here, and that is what is seen here. Okay, that if you measure the magnetic flux, this was the flux which was measured in this coil system, the magnetic flux in units of phi naught is just, as you increase the field, the flux inside this copper region keeps on changing, and it changes in integral multiples. It is 1 phi naught, then it changes to 2 phi naught, then it changes to 3 phi naught, and so on. So the magnetic flux in this region changes in integral multiples of phi naught. As you vary the magnetic field, the flux inside this copper region which is enclosed has to change in integral multiples of phi naught, and that is what we have shown here. Okay, that the magnetic flux in any normal region enclosed by the superconductor, it is a condition that it has to change in integral multiples of the flux quantum phi naught, and that comes because of the phase and magnetic vector potential relation, that to maintain the single valuedness, if you have a vector potential, the flux will change, the phase will change, but the phase has to change in integral multiples of 2 pi, because to maintain the single valuedness of the wave function. So it is essentially coming from there that you have a flux quantization. And this is a normal region. Of course, this was artificially constructed, where you have a copper cylinder, solid copper cylinder surrounded by tin superconductor. But you have in type 2 superconductors also, in type 2 superconductors you have normal regions which are surrounded by superconductor and they carry magnetic flux. And by the same argument as above, we just generalize the argument. Exactly by the same argument above, the magnetic flux, these are vortices. Okay, the normal regions inside the superconductor are vortices. The magnetic flux in each is actually n by the ground state is n equal to 1. The lower end, there is only one flux quanta in a vortex. Of course, there are situations in which you can have giant flux quanta also. Okay, there are giant flux quantas, vortices. Okay, you can have vortices with giant flux quanta, but they are produced under extreme circumstances. For example, if you take a superconductor and make it very small, you go down and make it a nanostructured superconductor, and then you try to push vortices into this nanostructured superconductor, then the type of vortices which are generated or stabilized inside these nanostructured vortices could be giant vortices where n is greater than 1. You can have 2 flux quanta, 3 flux quanta sized vortices which are actually present inside these nanostructured superconductors, because the size is too small to accommodate individual flux quantas, and so they actually merge and become a multiple flux quanta vortex. Okay, so such situations are also possible, and so just from the GL theory we come out with a very interesting and a very important result which relates the current and magnetic fluxes. However, just a word of note is that this was the normal region and this was the boundary of the superconductor, and we had taken a curve like this, and the currents were circulating only this region around the normal region. So we had taken a curve which was actually far away, and that is why the current along this curve became 0. But you could have chosen, okay, you could have chosen, if this was a superconductor and this was the normal region, okay, and this is the region this current is circulating, this is the current circulating region. Okay, let us say what I am shading here is the region in which current is circulating. Now if I had chosen a contour which is in this region, now if I had taken a contour C, which is shown here, which is inside the current which is circulating around the normal region, and in the superconductor, this is superconductor, this is normal, and there is magnetic flux in this region, so there is currents which are circulating around it. And if we had taken a contour C which is present inside this current region, then integral of J bar dot dl bar for this particular contour, let us call it C prime, is not equal to 0, and then you would have to consider the contribution integral of C prime m by 2e square J bar dot dl bar divided by mod of psi square plus phi is equal to n phi naught. Then this term is no longer equal to, is non-zero. Okay, earlier we had taken it equal to 0, okay, so that you get flux phi is equal to n times phi naught, but there is a contribution. If you take this sort of a contour, then you do not get then you will have a slightly different relation if you are considering the thing very close to this region. Okay, so these are different situations that one can encounter. Okay, and because we are talking of only the flux around a vortex, we actually take a contour such that you get only the contribution of the magnetic flux. Okay, and that contribution of the magnetic flux will give you phi is equal to n times phi naught. That is why we choose a large contour. If you want to get the contribution of currents also, then you have to take a contour very close to this, and then you work it out. Okay, you can work it out, but this is not very popular. Okay, now we can, before I end, there is a small part that one can additionally do. Okay, and that is that if we take now you know that mod of psi square is equal to mod of psi naught square, which is equal to the density of Cooper pairs. Okay, so you can actually if you go back to our earlier equation, m by 2 e square into j bar mod psi square plus phi equal to n times phi naught, and if this is just of course a constant, you can take it out. m by d square mod psi naught the whole square integral over the curve C d bar of L bar phi is equal to time phi naught. This is equal to ds bar, and this is the force curl of B. So just let me write it down clearly. Curl of B, then this, if you recall, is lambda GL the whole square. Okay, lambda GL the whole square is this expression. This is of course ns. Okay, and also it is the equilibrium value of the Ginzburg-Landau order parameter. Okay, so this is lambda GL the whole square integral of curl of B dot dl plus integral of B dot dl times phi naught. Okay, now this of course can also be an integral of curl of ds. So therefore